everyone. My name is Mrs. Gregory. My students call me Mrs. G. I'm a special education teacher at Chickahominy Middle School in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I teach functional academics and life skills. Today, we're going to be making something very simple. We're going to be making hamburger helper from a box. I'm going to go into my cabinet and remember from our grocery store unit that some people might not call this a cabinet, they might call it a cupboard. And I'm going to get my hamburger helper out of my cabinet. And as you can see in my cabinets, this is where I store my dry goods and canned goods, and remember our condiments that don't need to be refrigerated. Mrs. G doesn't have a pantry. Remember, that's a small closet in your kitchen where you can store food. So we have to store some of our food in cabinets in here. So I'm going to get out my box of hamburger helper. Close these back. So here's the box of hamburger helper. And the great thing about this is when you flip it over, it has everything you need, just like a recipe. It has the list of ingredients, the things that you're going to need to make it, okay? And then it has the directions or the instructions on the back. So I'm going to look at the box, and the very first thing that I need is 1 pound of ground beef. So I'm going to put the box down, come over here, and remember that unless we just purchased it at the grocery store, you might put ground beef in the refrigerator if you're going to use it soon, within like a day or two. If not, you're going to put it in your freezer and you'll get your ground beef from your freezer. Okay? So I'm going to reach in here, get my 1 pound of ground beef. Now this needs to be, as we learned, defrosted, or another word that you might use is thawed. So you could let it sit out for a couple of hours, as we're going to learn in our cooking unit, and to get room temperature, but we don't have time for that. So I need to defrost this pretty quickly because I'm going to make it for my boys to when they come home tonight. So I'm going to put it in the microwave, okay? So here's our microwave, and here are the buttons. You've learned all these, okay? I'm just gonna open it up. I'm gonna actually put a paper towel down since this is meat. I'm gonna lay it in my microwave and put it in there, okay? I'm gonna close it. I actually have a setting on my microwave that says time defrost. I use this microwave a lot, so I know what it usually takes. So I'm gonna probably put it in there for 8 minutes. 8 minutes, you can see that. And all I do is push start. Okay? So while that's defrosting, I'm gonna come over here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is wash my hands because I just had my hands on a package of raw hamburger meat. And remember, when you're doing this, the towel that you wipe your hands with, to dry your hands with, is not the same one that you would have used as a dishcloth to dry your dishes with, okay? So hand towel, dish towel, 2 different things. Okay, all right, so we've got the hamburger meat in the microwave, defrosting. So then I'm gonna come over here, and the next thing it says I need is 1.5 cups of hot water and 2 cups of milk. So I need a measuring cup. So I'm going to come over here to another cabinet. This is where I keep all the things I use to measure, and I keep some Tupperware and storage things in here. So I'm going to get out one of my measuring cups. I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to go ahead and get the milk out. Okay, and put that over here. I'm also going to need a skillet or a frying pan to put the meat in, to brown the ground beef. I'm going to get that out of my cabinet here. I'm going to put this on my stove top. Remember, when you put the pan on here, that you always need to keep the handle turned back. You don't want to have the handle sticking out so somebody could hit it and cause a big accident, okay? So you have that, your stove top is clear. The next thing I'm going to do, to brown your ground beef, you could use a spatula, you could use a wooden spoon, or this is like a Pampered Chef tool. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's like called a meat chopper. So you can really use any tool that you have in your kitchen room. There's no like right or wrong way to do this. Okay, now we're gonna check on our ground beef. All right, we've got about 10 seconds to go before this is done. I'm going to grab a fork because it's got a plastic lining on it to help me get that liner off. Okay, I'm just going to peel it back. And I'm going to put the ground beef in there. Okay. Just be careful because there's a plastic liner in there. Sometimes make sure that you always get that plastic liner off. Okay, now I'm immediately going to take this to my trash can and throw it away. Okay, I'm going to come over here to the stovetop and I'm going to turn the burner on. So I'm actually going to make the burner get hot. Okay, I'm going to turn it right around medium to get started here. I'm going to use the wooden spoon and I'm going to start breaking it up a little bit. Okay, and I hold on to the skillet just for stability so it doesn't move. And you see how when I was defrosting it, the edges got a little bit brown. That's what we want all of the meat to do, is to get brown. So we're gonna brown, that's what it means when you're reading a recipe, brown the ground beef, okay? And that's the very first thing that we're doing, brown the ground beef in a skillet. And so you just continue to stand here and break all the meat up into smaller pieces. Okay, and as you can see, it's getting brown, no more red parts. Okay, I'm just gonna actually let that cook for just a second. So after the meat cooks, we need to drain the excess juice off of the meat. Okay, so I'm going to get a strainer out. I'm going to put this in my sink. I'm going to check the meat again. Looks pretty good. Okay, I think it's ready to drain. So I'm going to get a pot over and take this. It's not hot, but it can get hot as it gets closer up there. Okay, so I'm leaving the burner on because we're gonna need that. We're gonna need to keep using it. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in here. Drain all that juice, which is like the fat, off of there. Okay. I'm going to pour it back in. Put it back on the stove. And the next thing I need to do is add the 1.5 cups of water. So I'm going to measure it out. I'm going to pour that in. Then I need 2 cups of the milk. Perfect, good grief. It's awesome. Pour that in. I'll put that in the sink because I'm done with that. Okay, then I'm gonna actually open the box up while that's getting hot, take the contents out. Those are the noodles that we need. And here is the sauce packet. Okay, so I need to open this up, but I've learned from doing this that it doesn't rip very well, so I'm going to grab some scissors from my drawer. I'm going to cut the top of it off. Pour in the sauce. Okay. And then I'm going to stir or mix this all together. I'm going to actually turn the heat up a little bit now. Now it says to stir in the pasta or the noodles. Put my spoon down. Okay, and now it says heat to boiling, so I've got to let this boil, and then after it boils, which we'll show you what boils mean, it needs to simmer, which means it just needs to cook really slowly on a lower heat. That's why it says reduce heat. So we'll turn the heat down, we'll cover it, and it says to simmer for about 12 minutes. Okay, so right now though, we've talked about what boiling water looks like. Well, sometimes you need to bring something like this to a boil too. So to prevent it from sticking, I'm going to stir just a little bit. Put the spoon back down and we'll wait for it to boil. Okay, now it is really boiling. See all the little bubbles on top? That's what it looks like when you bring something to a boil. So I'm going to give it a quick stir. It is starting to stick just a little bit to the bottom of the skillet, and that's okay. That's why we're stirring it. Okay, and then remember the next instruction said to reduce heat. Okay, so I'll put my spoon down. I'm going to turn this down because look, it's almost on high. I'm going to turn it all the way down to low. I'm going to get the lid out to this frying pan or skillet. I'm going to give it one more stir. Hold on to it. Okay, and as you can see, it's starting to settle down a little bit. I'm going to put the top on. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning out. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the box top. As you know, we collect box tops. Cut that off the top. Put that right there. I'm done with the scissors, so I'm going to put them away. I am done with the milk container, and you know how Mrs. G recycles all her stuff, so I'm going to rinse this out. Set it there until it's time to put all my recycling away. I don't need the box anymore, and I'll just show you. I keep all of my other recyclables in there. I shoved some of the trash in there, so I'll take that out, put it in the trash can. Okay. But I'm going to put this in here to take to the dump later to recycle. Rinse out my mixing cup and put this in my dishwasher. I already have some in here. The same with my strainer. Gonna give that a little rinse. get a paper towel because I spilled a little bit over here. So spray some cleaner on that paper towel. This is just making good use of your time. Clean the sink up. I'll throw this away. Let's come back over and let's just check on it. It hasn't been 12 minutes, but I think we probably need to stir it a little bit. And you can see the noodles are starting to plump up. Okay, and we stirred it so nothing sticks to the bottom. And the next time we take the lid off, it should be ready. I'm gonna get my pot holder because the lid's been on there for a while now, so make sure I don't burn my hand. I'm gonna make sure that I open the lid up so if there's steam that comes out, it will go out that way. You don't want to open it towards you, you want to open it away from you, okay? And see the steam that did come out, so that was a good thing that I did that. And it looks like it's done, okay? We let it simmer for 12 minutes and you can see the noodles are nice and plump now. So I'm going to put my spoon down. I'm going to turn the burner off because I'm done. Okay, the light's off, so I know that although it's still hot, the top part is off. I'm going to put this in the sink. I'm going to get a bowl down and a spoon. So your hamburger helper is pretty much done. Other than your hamburger helper, remember how we learned on myplate.gov about the nutrition and healthy eating? We probably would still want to have a vegetable, maybe a green vegetable, and a fruit. You could add a piece of bread, like a roll or something to go with this, and you'd have a complete meal. So thank you for watching our video. This was my first attempt at making a cooking video for my class. This was a video on how to make hamburger helper. Thanks.